Charlie Kirk. Where do I even start? There's something about this tragedy that just hits way harder than anything else. I remember seeing the attempted Trump assassination and feeling great worry for our country, yes, but more than anything, I wanted to fight. I felt that Donald Trump had reacted with courage, as a leader should. But with this, it's been a long time since I genuinely have felt ill about any political situation. I think the last time I felt similar to this was back during I think it was the Parkland shooting in Florida, and CNN had this town hall where supposedly a bunch of people from Parkland could get together in this town hall and talk to gun advocates or whatever, like Dana Lash, Marco Rubio, and others. And supposedly it was a time where we could all come together and come to some kind of agreement as Americans about what to do with the supposed epidemic of gun violence. And I remember watching it and having this deep, sinking, sick sensation in my stomach. I felt ill. I literally couldn't sleep. And I remember thinking, many Americans hate people like me. Many Americans hate people like Dana Lash or Marco Rubio. They didn't want to hear what was said. They didn't want to hear what people on the other side believed. They didn't want a dialogue. They wanted blood. And the problem is that they always wanted blood. It wasn't unique to that situation. And what CNN did with that town hall was to try to invite as close to a political bloodbath as possible. And that's similarly how I feel here. With the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it was more than just some deranged individual trying to kill a popular political leader. In fact, even as I record this, he's been taken into custody. It was more than just the tragedy of seeing a man killed on air in front of his family. It was more than just the most modern among us. The man willing to sit down with anyone and have a conversation. The man willing to humanize anyone of his political opponents and talk with them, to debate with them, and to have a conversation. To see that man gunned down on air, it was more than that. It was watching celebration from TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, Blue Sky, Discord, many places, just seeing that celebration all over of people on the left and the far left happy and excited that he was dead. And many of those who weren't expressly saying that they are excited that he was gone would say something like, "Oh, I don't necessarily condone his death. However, he was a Nazi, so he deserved it." I'm sorry, but if you were to take the kindest, most humane, most respectful person and say that he's a Nazi and that he deserved death, then frankly, you deserve whatever political retribution happens to you. They took the kindest person and said that he was the most vile villain, lied about him, tried to destroy his life for years, and then now that someone finally managed to do so, they are triumphant about it. This isn't just about Charlie Kirk. There is a statistically significant amount of the population who believes that anyone who is on the right deserves to die. And that is the roaring pit in my stomach. The day of and the day after, I sat down to try to come up with some kind of recording or say something, but what was there to say? I didn't even feel right saying anything. What am I going to say to add to this that's useful? And honestly, I'd rather see this whole thing come to some kind of conclusion before saying anything. What was there to say? Wow. Maybe 10% of the country, if not more, absolutely hates me and everything I stand for. That could have been me on that stage. That could have been my family. That could have been any of us on the right. And now a couple of days later, as the political fallout has continued, first we had the wave of people who were excited in the moment that he was dead. Like this man who, moments after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he started cheering. I don't even understand that reaction. Now, he's since gone on X and made some excuses and said that he was chanting USA, USA, but you can see him in the video. He has a giant grin on his face and he's excited. Even if he's trying to maybe counter chant or something in the moment, no one looks like that. No one acts like this. No reasonable person deserving of a polite society reacts this way after seeing something that violent. But the problem is that I've seen at this point hundreds of posts of people who do react that way. And that is a problem. In fact, I would say it's not even about this man in particular. It's about people who are producers from Bethesda or people who have worked on games like The Ghost of Yotai, willing and eager to just spit their vile onto the internet. I remember there used to be some kind of understanding or natural thought process to think, hey man, maybe I shouldn't spout my dumb opinions on social media when I have the actual business in my bio. Maybe when I'm on social media, I should actually properly represent my company, and I shouldn't glorify the death of an individual. I remember when Donald Trump was elected, and people at work were absolutely upset. They were depressed, wall to wall. Everyone had the worst day ever. And a few people even would voice that opinion in our meetings, even though they weren't supposed to be. I had the wherewithal to try to keep things professional. I had the wherewithal to not drag politics into our work meetings. I was the guy sitting there literally doing the meme. Wow, that's terrible. Tell me more.
You seem kind of psyched.
No, I'm bummed.
Because while I was excited that Donald Trump won, I wasn't about to just infect my workplace with that. I wasn't going to upset my coworkers even more because, I try to have some kind of respect in a business environment. And if you have a business link on your X bio or on your LinkedIn or something like that, or you're literally a representative of a company or community manager or producer, why are you doing things that you know are dangerous to your company? I don't understand this. That tells me one of two things. Either one, such person is so woefully stupid that they do not deserve to have a job at that company. Or two, which I think is more likely, there are so many people at those companies that believe the same that they feel absolutely comfortable being as vile as possible publicly, because who's going to tell them otherwise? Everyone's cheering them on. Everyone around them believes the same thing. So clearly it must be a popular and good opinion to have. And frankly, that's sick. Unlike a lot of movements online, these people aren't bots. These people aren't just soulless, faceless, Pakistani and Chinese agitprop. No, these are people willing to put their face on it. These are people willing to proclaim their insanities from their public actual Facebook account or their X account or their Blue Sky. I've seen dozens of people saying that they are breaking up with friends right now because they're watching them celebrate someone die. This is not a small amount of people who either lack the critical thinking necessary to recognize that Charlie Kirk was not this evil villain Nazi person, or they're just so far gone into evil that they're beyond redemption. And frankly, what's happening on the right now, in my opinion, is a preservation response. That's what this is. That's the deep feeling in your stomach. It's a realization that something is sickly wrong with the country, that it can't continue, and now something has to be done for us to survive. We can't go forward in a country where people are willing to castigate the kindest among us, to ruin and destroy their lives and prevent any kind of dialogue, and at the end of the day, just murder them in broad daylight. Because if even those kind people aren't capable of having conversation publicly, then none of us can. There's no conversation. There's nothing to be said. There's nothing left to say. And I don't want the country to descend into civil war, but I feel that we're getting close to a critical mass where enough of people in the country no longer want any kind of dialogue. And if they continue to propagate and continue to spread those ideas and people continue to believe them and listen to them, we're going to be at a point of no return and we will have a civil war. Entities like Steven Crowder and Tim Pool have been talking about this, where there's something going on, specifically, I guess, on the far left, but just in our culture in general, where certain kinds of violence is simply allowed on one side. And I know a lot are coming out now and saying, oh, we shouldn't have violence on any side, guys. It's both sides do it. I'm sorry, I'm not buying this. As Steven Crowder has said, he doesn't even do change my mind segments publicly anymore because it was too risky. It was too dangerous for his team and it was too dangerous for him and his family. He couldn't go out and just talk publicly and have conversations with people because of threats of violence and because of actual acts of violence to him. He has to have 24-hour security that constantly have to prevent people from going to his door and harassing him and attacking him and trying to kill him. And as he said that he believes Charlie Kirk has gone through the same thing. Has to have 24-hour security, has to have bulletproof vests because you have to constantly be on your vigil. You can try to block attack after attack after attack after attack after attack, but eventually one will get through. And unfortunately, one did. Or as Tim Pool said, I was swatted 15 times in 1 year. I had the bomb squad in my studio twice. We had to evacuate for 3 hours during our own show. Last year, a man in a dress attacked one of my employees at our old location. We have armed guards. This is how it's been because of the left. And this isn't a thing to say that everyone on the left is bad. Don't get me wrong. This is not what this means at all. What it means is that culturally, one side is allowed to get away with far more than they should, and culturally, one side is incentivized to be crazy. I think it's best encapsulated by this post on X by Shamus Coughlin, right-winger. Okay, I'm logged into my anonymous alt account that I set up with a burner phone that I bought with cash. Time to post, Ilhan Omar is stupid. Left-winger. Okay, I'm logged in my public LinkedIn profile. Time to celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. If people are willing to just be demons in public with their business stamped on their profile, with their public profile, their public identity broadcast for the world to see, and they think that's okay, then we're at a really, really, really awful place, and it needs to stop. Every leftist post is like this. My name is first name, last name, and I work at Infotech International in the Austin office as a regional analyst and live in Leander and Lakewood neighborhood. Here is why Charlie Kirk is a great thing. Also, here's a video of me dancing in celebration in front of my college degree from UT Austin. Yeah, basically, if you're that proud, then I'm sorry. You don't deserve a polite society. Unfortunately, political retribution is going to come, and the people who thought this was acceptable have brought it on themselves. It reminds me of this passage from Proverbs. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. The people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death drink at the wine of violence. That's what they want. They're not here to have a dialogue with people on the right. They're not here to be convinced. They're not here to have some marketplace or commonplace of ideas. They're here to destroy people that they disagree with, and they will rejoice at their death. This is where we are. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is it just one of those things that happen in politics? Is violence really rising on both the left and the right equally? Or does one side feel far more justified and comfortable broadcasting their evil? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you again next time. Song Eternal, signing off.